Docker is a containerization platform. Docker Swarm is a orchestration platform. Containerization, container orchestration. So Docker Swarm. First of all, what is Docker? It is a containerization platform. Docker is a containerization platform. What is the Docker? Docker is a containerization platform. Then Docker is a containerization platform. It is used to deploy the applications. It is used to deploy the applications as containers. Docker is a containerization platform. It is used to deploy the applications as containers. Sir, then when the Docker is already available to deploy the applications as a containers, then what is Docker Swarm? It is a it is a it is an orchestration platform. It is an orchestration platform. It is used to manage Docker containers. Docker is a containerization platform. It is used to deploy the applications as containers. Yes, containers are created. Then what about the Docker Swarm? Docker Swarm nothing but it is an orchestration platform. It is used to manage Docker containers. Managing the Docker containers nothing but managing the Docker containers nothing but managing Docker containers nothing but creating, updating, scaling, scale up, scale down, remove. That is called managing the Docker containers. Any platform which is used to manage the Docker containers to scale up, to scale down, that platform is called as orchestration platform. In the market, Kubernetes, OpenShift, in market with Docker Swarm, Kubernetes, OpenShift, Docker Swarm, Kubernetes, OpenShift are the orchestration platforms which are available. In market we have as orchestration platforms. In market we have Docker Swarm, Kubernetes, OpenShift as orchestration platforms. When we compare Kubernetes, Docker Swarm, Kubernetes is having lot of advantages. That is the reason Kubernetes is more famous in the market than Docker Swarm. Docker is a containerization platform. It is used to deploy applications as containers. Docker is a containerization platform. It is used to deploy applications as containers. What is Docker Swarm? Docker Swarm is an orchestration platform. It is used to manage Docker containers. Sir, what is the meaning of managing the Docker containers? Simple. Currently, we are running our application and database. I'm running my application and database on one machine. My application is connecting to the database. Okay, customers are accessing our application by sending a request. Customers are accessing our application by sending a request. People are accessing our application by sending a request. So if one or two people access, no problem. But assume that lakhs of requests are coming to your application at a time. Lakhs of requests are coming to your application at a time. The load is increasing on your application. The load is increasing on your application. Only one application is available, which is running in the one container. Your application is running in one container. There are so many customers are accessing our application. Our application is very famous in the market. We are having so many customers. All these people are accessing our application. When so many people access our application, load will be increased on the application. When so many people access our application, then load will be increased on the application. When the load is increased on the application, there is a chance of application crash. Are you guys getting my point? there is a chance of application crash. Understand my point? There is a chance of application crash. If application got crashed, then our business will be down. Our business will be down. Are you clear with my point? Now, instead of running the application on one container, we need to run the application on several containers. Instead of running our application on one container, we need to run our application on several containers. Instead of running application on one container, we need to run the application on several containers. So how to run our application on the several containers? That's where orchestration platforms comes into picture. Docker is a containerization platform. It is used to deploy the applications as containers. Docker Swarm is an orchestration platform. Orchestration platform, nothing but it is used to manage the Docker containers. What is the meaning of managing the Docker containers? Nothing but creating, updating, scale up, scale down, remove containers. Remove containers. In market, we have Docker Swarm, Kubernetes, OpenShift as orchestration platform. So when you go for Docker Swarm, we can easily manage our containers. Instead of running our application in one container, we can run our application in multiple containers. We can run our application in multiple containers. Easily we can scale up our containers and we can scale down our containers when we go for this Docker Swarm concept. So what is a Docker Swarm? You can check in the official documentation. What is Docker Swarm? Docker Swarm. Right. Swarm mode overview. Use Docker Swarm mode. Install Docker, see the installation. Cluster management integrated with the Docker engine. Use the Docker engine CLI to create the swarm of Docker engines. Decentralized design, declarative service model, scaling, desired state reconciliation, multi-host networking, service discovery, load balancing, secure by default, rolling updates. Like this, there are several advantages are available when we go for Docker Swarm. So that means you can scale up your application, you can scale down your application by using Docker Swarm, and inbuilt load balancing is available when we go for Docker Swarm. That means we are going to create a cluster. Cluster nothing but managed node and worker nodes will be available. This is one machine where the swarm will be master node will be available, and here worker nodes will be available. One master node will be available and 3 worker nodes will be available. Sir, what is this master node and worker node? This is called cluster setup. Instead of running all the containers in one application, we are going to set up cluster worker 1, master node, worker 1, and worker 2, and worker 3. So I'm going to take 3 workers. All these 3 workers will join with my master. All these 3 workers will join with my master. Now what I will tell to the master, hey master, execute my container with 3 replicas. My application should run in 3 containers. My application should run in 3 containers. So here we are going to give the task to master. If you want to deploy your application as a Docker container, instead of we are creating the container directly, we are going to give the task to Swarm. That is called Docker Swarm. What is the purpose of giving this task to the Docker Swarm? You no need to take care of containers creation, containers deletion, container scaling, scale up, scale down, update. No, that task we can give to Docker Swarm. Docker Swarm is a orchestrator. What is the meaning of orchestration? Orchestration nothing but managing. Our containers, instead of we are managing, Docker Swarm will manage. Similar to the Docker Swarm, there are other softwares also available in the market. Kubernetes is one of the most famous orchestration platform. So from Monday, our Kubernetes is going to start. What we will learn in the Kubernetes? Same thing. How to manage Docker containers, how to create the containers, how to scale the container, how to scale up, how to scale down, how to delete the containers. So management about the Docker containers, we are going to learn in the Docker Swarm as well as in the Kubernetes. When we compare Docker Swarm and Kubernetes, Docker Swarm is not that much famous in the market because Kubernetes is having lot of advantages when compared with Docker Swarm. Got it, guys? You got the clarity? What is the difference between containerization and orchestration? Are you guys able to understand the difference between what is containerization and what is orchestration? Yes. What is the difference between containerization and orchestration? What is the difference between containerization and orchestration, guys? Can you tell me that? Can you tell me the difference between containerization and orchestration? People should respond. What is the difference between containerization and orchestration? Difference between containerization and orchestration. Difference between containerization and orchestration. Come on, guys. Containerization, nothing but deploy our application as a container. Creating the containers, updating the containers, deleting the containers, scale up, scale down, all that process will be taken care by orchestration. What are the orchestration platforms available in the market? Docker Swarm, Kubernetes, OpenShift. So these are used to manage containers. So to learn the Kubernetes, Docker is mandatory now. So Kubernetes is just to manage the containers. So to create the container, we need to know Docker. First, we'll create the container by using Docker. That containers will be managed by Kubernetes. Got it? Docker is a containerization platform. It is used to deploy the applications. Docker Swarm is an orchestration platform. It is used to manage Docker containers. Managing the containers, nothing but creating, updating, scale up, scale down, and remove the containers. So now, when we create the Docker containers by using Docker Swarm, we can increase the count of the replicas, container replicas, we can decrease them, and it will take care of load balancing. Docker Swarm will follow cluster architecture to manage Docker containers. Here it will have master nodes, it will have master node, and it will have worker nodes. Master node will be available, worker nodes will be available. Master node will assign the task to the worker nodes, and worker nodes will take care of containers management. Master node will manage worker nodes, and it will assign tasks to worker nodes. Master node will manage the worker nodes. It will assign the task to worker nodes. Worker nodes will perform the action based on the instructions given by master node. It's like a manager and employee. Worker nodes will perform the task. Based on master node instructions. So Docker Swarm will follow cluster architecture to manage Docker containers. Master node will be available, worker nodes will be available. Master node will manage the worker nodes and it will assign the task to worker nodes. Worker nodes will perform the task based on master node instructions. Worker nodes will perform the task based on the master node instructions. So here master node will be available and worker nodes will be available. Inside the master node, Docker Swarm will be available and these worker nodes will be connected to the master node. If I want to deploy my application, then I will give the instruction to the Docker Swarm. Docker Swarm will assign the task to worker node. My container is running. One container is not sufficient for my application. My application should have 3 containers. 3 instances should be created for my application. I will tell to Docker Swarm, increase my application containers to 3. Then it is going to replicate. If 3 containers are available, request will go to which container? That load balancing will be taken care by Docker Swarm. Instead of running your application in one container, you can run your application in multiple containers by using orchestration platform. Okay, now let us see how to set up this Docker orchestration by using Docker Swarm. We need to set up the Docker Swarm in our machines. We need to take one master and 2 worker nodes. One master node and 2 worker nodes we need to take. So based on that, we are going to set up this Docker Swarm nodes. Do I have that? Master node and worker node. Docker Swarm, correct. Here we have this Docker Swarm. Docker is a containerization software as we discussed. Docker Swarm, it is a container orchestration software. Orchestration means managing the processes. Whatever the containers we are creating, scale up the containers, scale down the containers, complete management of the containers will be taken care by Docker Swarm. Docker Swarm is used to set up a Docker cluster. Cluster means group of servers. Group of servers. Docker Swarm is embedded in the Docker engine. No need to install Docker Swarm separately. We will set up master and worker nodes using Docker Swarm cluster. Master node will schedule the tasks and manage the nodes and node failures. Worker nodes will perform the action. Containers will run in the worker nodes. Worker nodes will perform the action based on master node instructions. So here by using Docker Swarm, we are going to set up a Docker cluster. Cluster nothing but group of servers. One server will act as a master server. One server is going to act as a master server. Remaining servers are going to act as a worker nodes. Master node and worker node. Master node will schedule the task. Then worker nodes will execute the task. Where exactly our containers will be created? Containers will be created by worker node. Who will give the instruction to worker node to create the containers? Master node. I want to run my containers in multiple machines. Then we need to scale up. We need to create the scale up replicas, scale down the replicas. So when your application is running, in multiple containers, then Docker Swarm will take care of that load balancing. Okay, Docker Swarm is a orchestration platform. Swarm features are available: cluster management, design, declarative service model, scaling, network, discovery, load balancing, security, rolling updates are available. Now we want to set up the Docker cluster. Okay guys, so how to Docker Swarm setup? Docker Swarm cluster setup. Docker Swarm cluster setup. We need to take master nodes and we need to take the worker nodes to set up the cluster. What is the meaning of, guys, remember, same kind of cluster we are going to set up in the Kubernetes also. Kubernetes is also orchestration platform. For the Kubernetes also, we need to set up a cluster with the master nodes and worker nodes. For Kubernetes also, we need to set up a cluster with the master nodes and worker nodes. Same thing we are doing for the Docker Swarm also. Swarm is the orchestration platform which is used to manage our containers. How to set up this Docker Swarm cluster? Create 3 EC2 instances. Earlier we have taken Amazon Linux. Now we can take Ubuntu. You can go with EC2 also, Amazon Linux also, no problem. Create 3 EC2 instances Ubuntu. Install the Docker in all the 3 instances using below commands. Why I am taking 3? One I am taking as a master node. Second one I am taking as worker nodes. Now to install the Docker in the Ubuntu machine, simple, just download and execute. With just two commands, we can install the Docker software in the Ubuntu. When we install the Docker, that is fine. No need to install the Docker Swarm because Docker Swarm is embedded in the Docker engine. We no need to do the Docker Swarm setup separately. And here, whenever we go for Docker master and Docker Swarm with master node and worker nodes, they will communicate by using a port number called 2377. We need to enable a port called 2377, which is used by Docker cluster to communicate between master node and worker nodes. To communicate between master node and worker node. Got it, guys? So we need to enable the security group with the 2377 port number. Then Swarm cluster communication is going to happen. One machine will act as a master node. Another two machines we are going to take as a worker nodes. So create three EC2 instances, Ubuntu flavor instances I'm going to take, and install Docker in all the three instances. How to install the Docker in the three instances? By using these commands, we can install the Docker in the Ubuntu machines. For these machines, as we are going to set up a cluster, 2377 port number should be enabled for cluster communication. Master node should communicate with the worker node should communicate with the master node. For that, 2377 port number should be enabled for the cluster communication. Cluster nothing but group of servers. Master node, worker node. Master node will receive the task from the employees. Now DevOps engineers will give a task to the Swarm cluster, master node. Master node will understand the task, will give the task to the worker nodes. Worker nodes will perform the action. All right, let me stop my existing Docker machine now. With this Docker machine, our work is completed. So Docker Swarm is our last topic. So I'm going to take three Ubuntu machines, launch instances. I'm going to create three machines with Ubuntu flavor. I'm going to create three machines with Ubuntu flavor. T2 micro, key pair, default VPC, security group, existing security group. I'm going to select default security group, launch instances. Yes. With this, three machines got created. Now, how to set up a cluster? First, we need to connect to the three machines and we need to install Docker software in all the three machines. Let's wait. Array, I have started only one machine, man. I should have given number of three. How many machines I have started? Only one machine. I need three machines. Let me start it. Ubuntu. I should have given number 3 here. Ubuntu, T2 micro, AWS, security group, default security group. Yeah, number 2. I want to start 2 machines at a time. Actually, I should start 3 machines, but I forgot to change this number of instances count. So 1 machine got started. Now I am again starting 2 more machines. Ubuntu, T2 micro, key pair is AWS, network settings, number of instances 2, launch. Now, so total 3 instances got created. Those 3 instances I have created by using Ubuntu Linux flavor. In those 3, 2 instances I will take as workers, 1 instance I will take as a master. Right? How to represent master node? How to represent worker nodes? These worker nodes I will join with the master node by using join token. Worker node should be joined with the master node by using join token. I will show you how to join these things with the master. First one, let me take it as Swarm master or master node, Docker master node. Then this one I'm taking as Docker worker 1. And this one I'm renaming to Docker worker 2. So I just renamed them. These are 3 Ubuntu flavored machines in the Linux, in the AWS cloud. Using EC2 service, I have created 3 Ubuntu Linux machines. One machine name I have given as master, two machine names I have given as worker. All are same machines only, just names are different. Now we need to connect with these machines and we need to install Docker. Okay. First, let me connect to master machine. First, let me connect to master machine. Session SSH. Username is Ubuntu because it is a Ubuntu Linux. Private key. Take the PEM file. Click on OK. All right. Let me give the tab color. Choose the tab color. Master red. I'm keeping the master node as red color. Next, connect to worker node. Take the public IP of the first worker node. Set up the SSH connection. Remote host. Username is Ubuntu. Private key aws.pem. Perfect. Connected to second worker node, first worker node. Then let's go to second worker node. Take the public IP. Take its public IP. Go to mobile extram, SSH, remote host, username Ubuntu, settings, private key, PEM file. Perfect. So with this, we are able to make SSH connection with all three Linux machines. So first machine is a master machine. Just to represent, I have given tab color as red. These black color tabs are our worker nodes. All right. Once these three machines are ready, then what is the next step? We need to install Docker. Create three EC2 instances and install Docker in all the three instances using below two commands. Only two commands are there. This command is used to download that Docker. Download it, then execute. It is going to execute. Yes. Downloaded the Docker shell script file and it is executing that shell script file. With that, Docker will be installed in the Ubuntu. So if you observe, when we go for Amazon Linux, the commands we use to install the Docker. When we go for Ubuntu, the commands we are using to install the Docker are different because these are two different flavors of Linux. Amazon Linux is having some set of commands with the yum package manager. Here in the Ubuntu, directly we are downloading that Docker sh file and we are executing that file using sh command. Then it is going to install the Docker. I'm trying to install the Docker in the master. Similarly, let's do that installation in the worker nodes also. Download that file and execute that file. Then go to second worker node, download that file and execute that file. All right. So in all the machines, I'm trying to install Docker. Now Docker got installed in our master node. In the master node, Docker installation got completed. In the first worker node is installing. In the second worker node also it is installing. Let's wait for some time. Why are you using Ubuntu instead of Amazon Linux? You can use anything, man. You can use anything. It's not mandatory to use only Ubuntu. You can use Amazon Linux also. Okay? Perfect. So with this, Docker installation got completed in the master node, in the two worker nodes. So here, three machines are available. In these three machines, Docker is available. Docker info. Permission denied. Now what you need to do is sudo docker info. So when I execute sudo docker info, it is giving the Docker information. Similarly, in the first worker node, sudo docker info. Yes, I'm getting the Docker information. Now let's go for sudo docker info. Yes, in all the three machines, my Docker is running. So when the Docker is running, that means Swarm will also available. No need to install the Docker Swarm separately. Docker Swarm is part of Docker engine only. Swarm is just one concept to create the Docker cluster. Cluster is nothing but a group of servers which are used to manage our containers. Instead of running all the containers in one machine, we are going to create the containers in multiple machines by using Docker Swarm cluster. It is a orchestration. When we install the Docker, Swarm will come automatically. Now, as we discussed, 2377 port number we need to enable. Docker Swarm will use that port number for cluster communication. Custom traffic now 9090 not required. Let me go for 2377. 2377 port I have enabled in the default security group because my machines are using default security group only. Total 3 machines are running. One is a master, 2 are the workers. All right. So security group ID, which is default 2377 port number. Yes, it is enabled. Here I have given that point. Enable 2377 port in the security group for Swarm cluster communications. One machine I'm taking as a master machine, 2 machines I'm taking as the worker nodes. Master node and worker nodes. Master node and worker nodes. Connect to the master machine and execute the below command. Connect to the master machine and execute the below command. What is that? Advertise address private IP master node sudo docker swarm join token. That means this is command which is used to initialize the swarm cluster. Initialize docker swarm cluster. Initialize docker swarm cluster. Join master, get the token. Get a join token from master. This token is used by workers to join with the master. This token is used by workers to join with the master. See here, we need to connect to the master machine and we need to execute below commands. One is swarm init and the second one is swarm join. Sudo docker swarm init advertise address private IP of the master node. This is the command we need to take. This is the command we need to take, which is used to initialize the swarm cluster. Which is used to initialize the swarm cluster. Private IP of the master. Cluster setup, guys. Cluster setup always will take time. Kubernetes cluster setup will take almost 30 to 40 minutes. Docker Swarm cluster just 15 to 20 minutes. Kubernetes cluster will take 30 to 40 minutes of time. Cluster setup little challenging. You need to be very careful. Take the private IP and we are going to give that private IP here. Sudo docker swarm init advertise address and giving the private IP of the master node. Giving the private IP of the master node. Now take this command, execute that command in the master node. With this, docker swarm is started. Now see, swarm, that means I have taken 3 normal Ubuntu machines. How to represent one machine as a master machine? For that only I have executed this command, sudo docker swarm init advertise address private IP. Swarm initialized, current node is now a manager. So first machine we made as a manager machine, master machine. To add the worker to this swarm, run the following command. So this is the join token that they are giving. So see here, 2377 is the port number. Okay, by using this command, we can join our workers to the master. By using this command, we can join workers to the master. How to represent one machine as a master? Sudo docker swarm init advertise address private IP. When I execute this command in the first machine, this machine became a master. If I execute this command in the another machine, that machine will become master. But I want to make only one master now. Sudo docker swarm init advertise address of private IP. This machine in which node I executed this command, that node became a manager node. For this manager node, we need to attach the workers. For this manager node, we need to attach the workers. So to attach the workers to the manager node, there is a command called join token. Already they are printing the token. To add a worker to this swarm, run the following command: docker swarm join. See here, if I take this command and if I execute in the first machine, first worker node, sudo I need to give and copy, enter. Now see, this node joined as a swarm as a worker. This node joined a swarm as a worker. Now let's go for second machine also. Sudo copy this command. Where is the command? When I execute sudo init, it has given some command. Na? This command is used to join worker. Take this command, sudo space command. This node joined a swarm as a worker. So with this our cluster setup is ready. With this our cluster setup is ready. For example, if you don't see that command, how to get the token? This is the command to get the token. If you execute this command, it will give you, sorry, in the master node, if you execute this command, it will give you token. Sudo docker swarm join token worker. So if you want to add the worker to the cluster, you need a join token. For that, you have a command. Sudo docker swarm join token worker. If I want to join a worker to the cluster, what is the command? Yes, this is the command. For example, I want to add one more master. Then sudo docker swarm join token master, unknown role manager. Yeah. So when I execute docker swarm join token manager, if you want to add one more manager to the cluster, this is the token to add the manager. This is the token to add the worker. Can you read these commands? This is used to initialize the master, and this is used to get the token to join the worker. Whenever you execute this command, it is giving a token. If you execute this token in any machine, that machine will join as a worker to the cluster. If you want to add another manager to the cluster, this is the command which will give the token. If you execute this command in any other machine, that machine will become a manager. Manager is called as a master, manager and workers. Are you able to understand how to represent one machine as a master machine and how to represent one machine as a worker machine to establish the cluster? Got it, guys? What is a cluster? What is the meaning of cluster? What is the meaning of cluster? Group of servers. In the group of servers, one server will act as a master. In the group of servers, one server will act as a master. Remaining servers will act as workers. Master node will receive the task. Master node will send the task to workers. Workers will perform the task. Master node will manage the workers. Now, I have taken 3 Ubuntu machines. One machine I represented as a master node. I represented as a master node. Then 2 machines I have taken as workers. How to join workers with master? Do you know how to join your worker machines with master machine? Yes. To join workers machines, to join worker machines with master machines, first we need to create 3 machines. In those 3 machines, we need to install the Docker. Then enable 2377 port number for cluster communication. Then to represent one machine as a master, connect to the master machine and execute these commands. So when you execute this command, that here you need to give your machine private IP. Okay, guys. So when you execute this command, that machine, in which machine you will execute this command, that machine will become manager machine or master machine. So once this command is executed, it will give you a token. That a token you need to execute in all the worker nodes. Okay, copy the token and execute in all worker nodes with a sudo permission. Got it? What is the example? Example sudo whatever the token it is giving to join the worker. All right. Sudo docker swarm init, which is used to represent our machine as a master machine. It will give the token. If you don't get the token, using this command you can get the token. Copy the token and execute in all the worker nodes with sudo permission like this. Sudo docker swarm join token. You get the token. Private IP of your master machine : 2377. What is the docker swarm manager QAM? Always we need to have more than one master so that application will have high availability. Formula n-1/2. If we run only two masters, then we cannot get a high availability. More than two masters we need to run to get the high availability. N-1/2 formula we need to apply. If we take two servers, if one server is failed, 2 minus 1/2, 0.5, it cannot become master. 3 minus 1/2, 1. It can be leader when the main leader is down. Always use odd number of master machines. Whenever you are setting up a cluster, if you want high availability, take more than two servers as a masters. Then high availability will be available. That we will discuss in the Kubernetes. What is high availability? How to set up a high availability cluster? How to take multiple masters and multiple workers, that we will discuss. In Docker Swarm, we need to deploy our application as a service. So currently our Docker Swarm is ready. Docker Swarm is the orchestration platform to run our applications. Docker Swarm is following cluster. So 3 machines I have taken. In those 3 machines I installed Docker. One machine I represented as a master by executing swarm init command. The remaining 2 machines I'm representing as workers. Workers I joined with the master by using worker join token. For the master, we can add another master also by using master token, manager token, worker token, manager tokens are available. Using the tokens, we can add manager to the cluster, or we can add worker also to the cluster. So with this, our cluster is ready. Now we need to deploy our application on the Docker Swarm. In the Docker Swarm, we have a concept called service. Service is a collection of one or more containers of the same image. So I have an application image. For the application image, I want to create one or more containers. That concept is called as service. So there are two types of services in the Docker Swarm. One is a replica service, another one is a global service. Replica is the default service. Replica is the default service. Now see, what is the command to run your application by using Docker Swarm cluster? Sudo docker service create name of the service, port mapping of that, and image name. So in my Docker Hub account, there is one image called Ashok IT Java Web App. So to run this image in the Swarm, I'm going to use this command. Sudo docker service. Service is a concept which is used to create the containers using Docker Swarm. Sudo docker service create name of the service -p port mapping and image name. Using this command, we can deploy our application on the cluster. So where we are going to execute this? I'm going to execute this on the master node. Sudo docker service create. You can give any name for the service and port mapping and image name. Enter. Ashok IT Java Web App is a public image available in my Docker Hub. Now see, it is downloading that image and it is going to create the container for that image. Sudo docker service create service name, port mapping, and image name. It is going to pull that image from the Docker Hub. It is going to pull the Docker image from the Docker Hub, and it is going to create the container for my image. By default, when we create that service, when you create that service, one replica will be created. By default, when you create that service, one replica will be created. So can you see the services which are available here? Docker service ls, no, sudo docker service ls. Now see, when I execute sudo docker service ls, by default, one replica got created. So Java web application, when I execute this sudo docker service ls, when I execute that sudo docker service ls, one replica got created. My application is running. This is the container ID, name of the service, replicated one by one. That means one out of one replica is created. This is the image name we used to run this, and this is the port mapping. So currently one container is running for our application. One container is running for our application. I want to run multiple containers for the applications. Then you can go for scale up, and we can go for scale down, scale up and scale down. So Docker service scale, service name is equal to number of replicas. Docker service scale, service name is equal to number of replicas. I want to do scaling. Sudo Docker service scale. What is the service name? Java web app is equal to 3. Now see, 3 containers are creating. Earlier there is only one container available for the application. Now I have given scale web app is equal to 3. With this, it is going to create 3 containers. That means my image is used to create 3 containers. My application is running in 3 containers. Where those 3 containers are created? In the Swarm cluster. So Docker Swarm is managing my containers now. Docker Swarm is managing my containers now. See, service is converged. Now let us check service ls. Now can you see how many services, how many containers created for that? Earlier, how many replicas available? Earlier there is only one replica. Now there are 3 replicas available. That means 3 containers I have created for my application. What is the advantage? Availability. Availability. So instead of running your application in one container, if that one container got damaged, if this container got damaged, your application will be down. So if you want high availability for your app, that means at any point of time, your application should be available for the users to access. Then instead of running your application in one container, we need to run our application in multiple containers. To run our application in multiple containers, we are going for Docker scale concept. We are going for Docker scale concept. Are you guys clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point? What is the Docker scale? Service scale. What is the purpose of Docker scale? It is used to increase the containers. Inspect Docker service. Pretty command is there. We can inspect the Docker service also. Sudo Docker service inspect pretty. What is the name of the service? Java web app. Yes, Java web app application is running. Service mode replicated. there are 3 replicas are available. This is the image it used to access that port 8080, target port 8080. So application is running with 3 containers. 3 replicas are available with the application. Sudo service ps service name. If you want to remove worker node from the swarm cluster, sudo docker swarm leave. Sudo docker swarm leave. When I execute sudo docker swarm leave, then what will happen? It will leave the cluster. Node left the swarm. That means I removed one machine from the cluster. I removed one machine from the cluster. Like that, you can add the machines to the clusters also. By using join token, you can add, and by using this leave command, we can leave the cluster. Join and leave. If you want to stop the service, if you want to remove the service, sudo docker service remove service name we can give. If you give sudo docker service rm service name, that service will be deleted. That service will be deleted. What are the service we have? That is Java web app. Java web app service got stopped. Sudo docker service ls. What are the services available? No service is available, which is deleted. So like this, we can manage our containers by using Docker Swarm. So we are going to set up a cluster nothing but group of servers. We can initialize the master node, then we will get the token. Using the token, we can join the worker nodes. Master and worker nodes will communicate on the 2377 port number. We need to enable that in the security group. Once that is done, in order to deploy our application on the cluster, we have a command called docker service create. This is the command which is used to create our application deployment on the Docker Swarm. Whenever we deploy the application on the Docker Swarm, by default, one replica will be created. Check the service which is created by using sudo docker service ls command. Docker service scale, which is used to scale the number of replicas. That means increase the number of containers. Increase the number of containers and decrease the number of containers. Now, let me do the deployment once again. Let me create it. Sudo docker service create name, Java web app, port mapping, Ashok IT Java web app. So it is going to deploy my application on Docker Swarm. By default, it will create one replica. By default, it will create only one replica. Now, application deployed on the cluster. Let's access public IP colon 8080 is the port number / Java web app. Yes. Now I'm able to access my application which is running on the Docker Swarm. Let's access this application by using master node public IP. By using master node public IP with the port number, we are able to access our application. My application is running on the Docker Swarm cluster. Are you guys able to access? Are you guys able to access? Yes. So we are sending a request to which IP? We are sending a request to which IP address? Master node IP address or worker node IP address? We are sending the request to master node IP because that master node will take care of the load balancing. So currently there is only one replica is available. How to see that? Sudo docker service ls. So my application is deployed on the Docker Swarm cluster by using master node public IP colon 8080 / context path. Which image I am using here? I'm using a image called Ashok IT Java web app image. It is a public image available in my Docker Hub account. So it has this is a normal Java web application which will run in the Tomcat server. It has taken this web application image and it created a container on the cluster. By default, how many replicas are created? By default, only one replica is created. If I want to scale the replicas, sudo service scale service name is equal to count. How to scale the replicas? Sudo docker service scale Java -web -app is equal to 3. Now, instead of one container, I'm running 3 containers. This is called orchestration. This is called managing the containers. Now you see 3 containers got created. Docker service ls. So 3 replicas got created. 3 replicas got created. access the application. So very quickly, our application will be accessed now because our application having 3 containers. Our application is running in 3 containers. Who is managing the load? That load management will be taken care by manager node, or I can say master node. Master node. I'm sending the request to the master node by using public IP colon 8080 slash Java web app. Okay, so once this part is completed, sudo docker service replicas, you can increase the number of replicas also. We can access our application. Note, we can access our application. We can access our application using below URL pattern. So what is the URL pattern? HTTP colon double slash master node public IP colon 8080 slash Java web app. So Java web app is a context path for this image. For this image, Java web app is a context path. So by using that URL, I'm able to access my application. We can check the services which are created, sudo docker service ls, which service is created, which is displaying number of replicas. If you want to increase the number of replicas, so whatever the service name we are giving, number of replicas. So if you want to see the docker service, sudo docker service ps service name. What is the meaning of service name? This is called our service name. You can give any name for the service. Now, if you want to remove the worker node from the cluster, go to worker node and execute this command. Worker node will be deleted. Worker node will left the cluster. Sudo docker service rm service name, which is used to delete our service which is created in the docker cluster. Guys, you got the basic clarity on what is orchestration now? You got the idea on what is orchestration, what is the containerization, and what is orchestration? Replica means copy of the container. Replica means copy of the container. Whatever we have seen today, the next 20 days we are going to work on the same concept in the Kubernetes. Kubernetes is a orchestration platform. Kubernetes is a orchestration platform. So the next 15 to next 2 weeks of time, we are going to spend for Kubernetes. Got it? So next we are going to understand what is Kubernetes and how to work with the Kubernetes. Kubernetes is also orchestration platform. Guys, you don't need to give much importance for the Docker Swarm because in the industry, people are not using Docker Swarm because of Kubernetes features. Projects are using Kubernetes as a orchestration platform. Kubernetes is used as a orchestration platform. Docker Swarm is a very basic concept for the orchestration. Kubernetes is very advanced orchestration platform. Now, currently, how many replicas are available for my application? Currently, how many replicas are available for my application? 3 replicas. Can I decrease that replicas? If you give number as 2, yes, now see, it is reducing the replicas. Sudo docker service scale Java web app. When the web app replica is 1, I have given 3 replicas created. Now I have given Java web app is equal to 2. Now you see replicas count is reduced to 2. You can scale up and you can scale down just based on the given number. I'm able to scale up and I'm able to scale down my containers. Replicas nothing but number of containers. For my image, 2 containers are running. That means 2 replicas are up. My application is running as 2 replicas. Load balancing will happen. Few requests will go to first instance, first container. Few requests will go to second container. Who will manage that traffic? Swarm cluster. Load balancing is inbuilt functionality in the Swarm cluster. Perfect. So with this, we completed our discussion related to Docker.